Thank you everyone for joining today's webinar, where we will talk through the steps you need to develop a strategy for onboarding new schools. As districts transition to remote learning, we've seen a big influx of applications bringing on new schools through Clever. We feel really grateful that we can support you and our districts during this time, and we hope that today's content will help you seamlessly manage this process. As we get started, I wanted to go over some housekeeping items. First, this session is being recorded and will be emailed to you after this webinar. You can stay connected with us on Twitter @Clever and use the hashtag remote learning. Finally, at the end, we will have a live Q&A, so please use the Zoom console to ask questions throughout and share any reactions you might have. Okay, great, let's get started. My name is Christina Cruz and I am your Partner Success Program Manager. I work with partners on their integration and engagement with Clever.
Hi everyone, my name is Salochana Marpedka and I am a District Success Manager. So I work with our new and existing districts to drive engagement with Clever. Specifically, I work with new districts who are invited by our application partners to help them get set up with Clever.
Thank you, Salochana, for joining us. I'm super excited to have her join because she's going to give us a really good perspective on what the district experience of onboarding is like. So our agenda for today is that first, we'll talk about your onboarding strategy to support new schools. We will be taking you through the sequential steps on both the partner side and the district side of onboarding and getting set up with Clever. Next, we will be going over some troubleshooting tips and best practices centered around supporting our districts and families during school closures. And again, at the end, we will have time for a live Q&A session.
All right. So Rob Pryor here, the head of partner success. Christina Saloch, thanks for letting me sneak in at the last second. You guys can hear me, right? Just gonna double check. Look to the chat. Okay, I'm assuming folks can hear me. So earlier this year, we announced as a part of Clever Portal 3, if you joined the webinar, you might have known we actually included a slew of new features there. And we announced we were going to be including a portal for families. And due to school closures, we just noticed that families are they're taking on an even more active role in children's learning. And so we've accelerated that timeline, and we're excited to announce that that feature is actually available today, right now. So for districts that have student contacts updated in their SIS, they can actually invite parents to use a portal at home. Now, why is this really important to applications? So a part of that portal includes the ability for a student to print out and create a badge for their home learner. And some districts were fortunate enough before school closures to actually print these out, send them home. Other schools have used technology such as Remind, Class Dojo, but this is just another chance for, if that opportunity was missed, to get badges set up at home and get students logging into applications. Now for now, this is just going to be for students for parents to log them in. The parents can't actually see the applications in the portal unless they log into their student's account. So this is V1 of our family portal. There'll be other things there too, but I'll save that for Q&A and questions at the end. But I just wanted to announce that we have this really important feature that will help, I hope, get more access to your application during this time of need. So please reach out to your account manager, reach out to me if you have questions. I just wanted to put this right up front and just announce that it's ready. We'll also be sending out an email on Friday to tell you more. So I'll hand it back. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Rob. So Salochana and I are now going to take you through the onboarding experience for both application partners and districts. As you can see here, there are 6 sequential steps. We will be going through each one more in depth, and we will highlight some things that we think will be important for you and your team to pay attention to throughout this process. Again, as a reminder, feel free to use the Zoom console throughout to ask any questions for us to address at the end. The first step will be to invite a district from your Clever dashboard. Once you're logged into your dashboard, you're able to search for a district near the top right corner. When the correct district populates, you can then click Invite to Connect. Here you will also see if they are on Clever or off Clever, which Salochana will go into more detail on that distinction in upcoming slides. Once you've selected Invite to Connect, a pop-up will appear where you will need to fill out some required information. This just includes some contact information from the school, as well as a personalized message to send to them. You will then select the schools you'd like to connect with, and then you'll be able to send their request. After you sent the invitation to connect, you're able to view and manage all of your invitations in your dashboard in the Invited Districts tab. Another useful tool that's available in the dashboard is our Clever Concierge feature. This tool lets you upload district information to invite them to connect with you. And this feature is best used for bulk invitations to multiple districts at a time.
Thanks, Christina. And now we're going to go into what happens after the invite is sent. Inviting districts that are already set up with Clever is easy and quick. You'll see here that there are 3 basic steps to getting a district started with your app on Clever. The first is to send the invite to your districts from your application dashboard, which Christina just showed. The second is the district administrator accepts the invite in their Clever dashboard. And the third is the district administrator will share data with your application. So we'll go into the first step right now. So the first step is to send the invite to the district from within your application dashboard. You can invite multiple districts at once, specify which schools need to be shared from within the district, and get connected on Clever even faster than before. Districts can be up and running with your application within 24 hours once they accept your invite for districts that are already on Clever. Once the invite is sent, the district will have to take action on their end by accepting the invitation. This can be done either from within their email or within their dashboard. So if the situation ever comes up where the district cannot find the email in their inbox, you can just redirect them to their Clever dashboard to accept the invite. You can see here what the email looks like and what the invitation looks like in the district dashboard. So this is what they'll see on their end when they receive the invite from your application. Once the district has accepted your invitation, the last and final step is for the district to start sharing data with your application. The district will do this by adjusting their sharing rules from within their dashboard. We recommend including the following guide from our Help Center that explains how districts can set up their sharing rules. Once the sharing rules have been set up, your application will sync with Clever overnight, and the district should be able to log in and access your application via their Clever portal within 24 hours. So that was the process for districts that are already on Clever. As you can see, it's pretty straightforward, pretty quick once they accept the invite. But now we're going to go into invites for districts that are not on Clever, so it looks a little bit different. So when an application sends an invite to a district that is not on Clever, a member of our district success team will personally reach out to the district to provide them with a hands-on onboarding experience so that they can get up and running with your application as quickly as possible. As of right now, that person is me, so definitely feel free to ask me any questions that you have about this right now in our Q&A console or at the end if you come up with them as I go along. So when you invite districts to your dashboard, you will be able to see whether or not they are on or off Clever when you click on their profile. This will show up as a tag next to their name when you pull up the profile as pictured here. We're currently talking about the process for districts who have the off Clever tag next to their names. So just something to look at when you invite a district to see if they're on or off Clever. You can expect the process to be one of these two. Once the invite is sent to an off Clever district, the district contact will receive an email in their inbox that looks like this. The application will need to specify the district contact on their end when they send out the invite. This initiates a personalized and hands-on onboarding experience where our team will work directly with the district to get them up and running and with their data sync and configured login method. This streamlines the onboarding process by cutting down the time it takes to onboard. So if a district goes and signs up through our website sign-up form, so not with your application invite, they will be a part of an automated email campaign and have to open a ticket with our success team in order to get help. The onboarding process is still great when they go through the website. However, there's a few more steps to getting support for onboarding in that process. But by inviting a district as an application partner using our application invite function, the district will receive proactive and personalized outreach from our team to help facilitate a faster and smoother onboarding experience. So step 2, our district success team will then work with the district to get them up and running on Clever. We have 2 criteria for when a district is considered onboarded with Clever. The first is to sync the district's data from their student information system. The second is to set up a login method for their teachers and students so that they can log in through the Clever portal. The average new district onboarding can be completed in 7 days. I've seen setup time range anywhere from between 2 days to 2 weeks, depending on each individual district setup, but our success team is there to help at every step of the way. So the third and final step, similarly to on Clever districts, is that the district needs to start sharing data with your application. Our success team is also available to check in and assist with getting these rules up and running as quickly as possible. So definitely don't hesitate to reach out. And so now I'm going to go through a couple of tips for how you can check in on the onboarding status of an off-Clever district. So once an invite has been sent, you can check if off-Clever districts are connecting with Clever. Some context here, when off-Clever districts are connecting with Clever through an application invite, so when you as an application sends an invite to them, they have to click the Set Up with Clever button in the email in order to create a Clever account for them. That is the only way that they can create a Clever account unless you reach out directly to me, and I'll go into how to do that later, and I can create for them on our end. If you do not see a district ID in the account information section of a district you've sent an invite to, they have not accepted it yet. So you'll see here in the screenshot where the red arrow is pointing, this is for a district that has an account with us, and there's a district ID. However, the screenshot above does not have a district ID, and that's because this district has not created an account with us. The next thing to check for is whether or not data has been synced between the district's SIS and Clever. You can check this in the dashboard by looking for a sync running status, which there's a red arrow pointing to that underneath Gotham City. Sometimes even when this is running, the district is still making adjustments to the data, so they may not be ready to share just yet. However, this is a good indicator of how the district is progressing in the setup process, since the data sync is usually the most time-consuming part of setting up with Clever. We've also included a screenshot of what this sync status looks like in the district dashboard. So the district administrator can also see if their sync has been successful as well from their end. And that's what that second screenshot looks like. Once the data has been synced with Clever, the next step is to share it with your application. You can view this information by pulling up the district's profile in your dashboard and navigating to the Sharing tab. If the data has been shared, you can see what exactly is being sent over by the district, including the exact sharing rules that are set up, and that's where that arrow is pointing to. You can refer to these when helping the district share the correct amount of data with your application. So something that I've seen a lot is that districts don't know how many schools they should be sharing with their application based on their licensing. So this is definitely somewhere that you can help the district really proactively just get set up with Clever and get running as soon as possible.
So we just talked about application partners inviting districts to connect. I'm going to talk now about what happens when districts request to connect with you via their dashboard. So in your dashboard, under the Pending Requests tab, you're able to see district requests to connect with you. To approve a request, you can select from one of your pending queue and then choose a launch date. You can specify how many licenses the district will have access to, and you can send a personalized message upon approval. To decline a request, you can simply decline, and you'll be given the option to send a message or not to the district. I wanted to spend a little more time here to talk about what the launch plan is. Sometimes districts can get confused on what the launch date refers to. The launch date refers to the day that districts will see your application as connected in their dashboard, and the day that students and teachers will see the application in their Clever portal. This means that everything needs to be set up and ready to go by this date. This specific date does not always guarantee that districts can access your application with no errors. There are a few things that need to be done before a successful launch. We recommend using the launch date as a date to work backwards from to ensure that everything on the district side is set up correctly by then. Once your launch date is set, districts will then need to, 1, specify which users can access the application through sharing permissions, And then 2, check for data warnings and errors. If at any time the launch date needs to be changed, this can be done in your dashboard after a district approves the invite. After the launch date is set on the district's end, again, they need to share the data to Clever. Once they've completed that step, you're able to go into your dashboard and view any data errors and data warnings. Here you'll see if users are missing a field or a data point that your application requires. If any issues are found, you'll be able to notify the district to get them resolved. Districts are also able to see any data warnings or errors they have on their dashboard as well. So they'll be able to actively look for and correct these issues on their end. If data warnings or errors are not resolved, typically users will have a degraded experience once logged into the application. Each case varies depending on your application. So again, just to recap, once an invite is sent, or once a district requests to connect with you, they will need to do 2 things before the launch date to ensure that their teachers and students have the best experience possible. Here are a few ways you can help the district move the onboarding process forward. 1, you can check on whether or not the district has accepted your invite. This is how districts can connect with your application or create a Clever account if they're a new district. You can then monitor the district sync to see if it's up and running yet. The sync setup time can vary based on each district's SIS. And finally, you can make sure the district has started sharing data with your application once it's in Clever. So especially during this time of school closures, logging into Clever to access your application is something that can come up a lot in the day-to-day. At any time, you are able to download a particular district's login instructions from your dashboard, which you can then pass on to parents that may write in, for example. This screenshot on the left shows an example of the login instructions. You can visit clever.com/learningathome for a PDF of login instructions available in multiple languages that you can pass on to families who are trying to help their students log in from home. So with the potential increase in volume of customers writing in requesting for help, it's helpful to talk about defining escalation pathways for you and your team. Understanding who to contact and when is an important step to helping our districts get connected to your application to start learning. If you are able to, I recommend speaking to your support team about escalation processes such as these, or even just who to contact when a particular issue arises. So for example, if a parent writes into your team asking about login information for their student, the escalation pathway would be to direct the parent to contact their student's teachers first. Clever does not have any credential information, and teachers have tools in their dashboard to get students to log in quickly. Another escalation pathway that can be defined is who to contact around sharing permissions. Sharing permissions can be really tough because they're so nuanced and are pretty unique to every district setup. If you or anyone on your team is having trouble with sharing permissions, the escalation pathway here is to contact Clever support with context of what you're trying to achieve and help the district with. This slide just talks about some more handoffs between you and Clever. So if a new district to Clever or if it's a new district, they're not using Clever today, they need help getting their account set up, or they have general questions, you can CC or have them contact district onboarding at clever.com. If they're in an existing Clever district and they need technical assistance, please direct them to contact Clever support using our ticket form or calling a number. If it's an existing Clever district and they have general questions about integration or the district rollout strategy, again, contact support, and if needed, they will escalate to the proper channels.
Yeah, so as Christina just talked about, Clever support is an excellent place to reach out if a district needs technical support or if you have any questions about Clever as an application partner. We have a world-class, highly trained technical support team, which holds itself to a 4-hour SLA, so you'll receive a response within that time when you write in. Our hours are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and this is our phone number, We also have a robust help center with tons of articles and resources to help both our application partners and districts get the most usage out of Clever. So definitely recommend checking in there if you ever have any questions, because we have a ton of articles to help you out there. And for any onboarding districts, please write in to district-onboarding@clever.com. This email is only for our application partners and will go directly to me and my team. So we'll be able to help you out with any onboarding or Clever usage questions from there as well. However, when you when you send out an application invite, that does also go directly to this email. So if you need to onboard a new district, I would definitely go through that route.
Finally, we wanted to share some best practices with you. With students now learning at home, we've seen families take a much more active role in their child's learning experience. And while they've been seeking support from Clever, they're also probably looking to you for support too. The most common support requests we've seen are families asking for help getting their students logged into Clever so they can access your application. While we've got some great resources that I've mentioned before, we've also seen our partners come up with some creative solutions to help too. We've seen partners sharing videos with login instructions, creating customized setup guides, and help center resources. We encourage you to take the initiative to do this as well, and we're happy to work with you on this. Please feel free to contact support and either me or your success manager will reach out. And please enter any questions that you have into the Zoom console. While you're doing that, we've had a few questions come through during the presentation, so we'll start with those.
So we have one question. I sent an invite to a district over a week ago, but they haven't accepted it. What should I do? If you haven't heard back from a district in a while, we'd recommend uninviting them and sending the invite again. You can do this from your dashboard. All you have to do is cancel the invite when you look at all of the invites that you've sent. If you know you invited a district who is not on Clever, you can also reach out to district-onboarding@clever.com and we can give you an update on the onboarding status from there as well.
Great. I'm seeing one from Candace Stump that says, when I search schools, it only seems to search schools who are already sharing data with us. How do I invite a district? For this one, if you're in your data browser, you're only going to be able to search schools within your district. Make sure when you're going to invite a new district, you're actually at your home page of your Clever dashboard. Then when you go to the top right, you click into that district search, you should be able to see any district in America on Clever, off Clever. Do let us know if you're not. We're happy to hop on and help you out.
There's one here. So we're getting a ton of inbound support calls from parents who can't log in to our application through Clever. What's the best way to help them? So we have a resource page called at clever.com/learning at home that we will include in our follow-up. As discussed in the pathways, it's usually best to direct parents to their districts. If you see these inbound requests from particular districts, feel free to reach out to our team.
All right, cool. I'm seeing one about the couple about the family portal. Will I be able to see which families have created accounts? So not yet, but in the near future. So given current circumstances, we just wanted to work really hard to get a feature up and running and into district hands. But we'll be working through improvements for the next month or so, and then hopefully beyond that. But this is high on our list of next steps. And the next one I saw that was sort of similar, will families be able to view or access our application in their family account? So no, not at this time. This is really, districts can share links, for example, or resources to families directly, but your applications are only accessible by the student. So again, unless the student has been logged in by their parent. So not just yet. There might be stuff to come in the future, but for now, again, this was really our first iteration to get this out the door.
Another question here, how do I help my customers share the correct rosters with my application? So we have a lot of info in our help center, but we know that the nuances can be really tricky. Again, feel free to write into our support team from the help center. Be sure to include as much context as possible. The most important being district name, the district admin contact, and what classes need to be shared.
I saw a
And then
question. One was around our company is a K-12 curriculum company only. So when sending an invite, I don't want to select schools to share for intermediate or middle school because some states include fifth or sixth grade. So you might have a grade in either or. How do we as a company go around this when inviting the correct schools? There's actually two things I want to point out. When you pick schools in the invite, That's a step one. We have a feature right below that that allows you to say, I also want to specify which sections for the district to share. So you can actually specify things like grade and subject. Later on this year, we're going to be releasing a new feature. We're roughly calling it smarter data sharing, but it'll actually allow you after data authorization to prescribe sharing rules to the district. So we're hoping to empower you with more tools just to get exactly the right records you need in one go.
We have a question
And
here about sorry, Salochana,
sorry,
go ahead.
Tina.
Go ahead.
I'm seeing one question. What is the typical time frame between when an invitation is sent to a non-Clever district and when the district will be contacted? Is it via email or phone? So the typical time frame once you send an invite to an off-Clever district is within an hour or two. We receive that email, we reach out to them. This is typically done via email at first, unless you guys write in and you're like, hey, I want to call. We're happy to do that as well. But just as an FYI, that email that we send to follow up to the invite does include the link to schedule a call for the district. So we are also actively trying to get them on the phone.
How do I change a launch date for a district after I have set it? So you can always change a launch date to a future date from your app's dashboard. You'll first need to find the district, and in the top right corner of the district overview, you should see the edit option next to the current launch date. Again, the district has to accept your invite first before doing this. We also have a Help Center article we can send in the follow-up.
I see a question from Joanne Wang. Thank you for your question. Um, it's how common do you see districts setting up a test district first to test Clever Secure Sync with application partners? And would you recommend this kind of with schools and districts going forward? Um, Generally, I would not. It's a lot of work and labor to spin up a whole test district just to see if how things will play. Um, One feature we released in the fall, what I was really excited about was when you go to invite a district to connect, we'll do a preliminary kind of scan on what data requirements your application has, and we'll tell you whether how many records are either satisfied or violated um, within the district's data. So you have a good sense of um, what kind of work has to be done to bring the data into compliance. And then after that, our teams are more than ready before the launch date to actually work with the district and you to make sure things look good. So if you have challenges with your integration, would love to talk about those before you connect with partners. But in general, that's not generally a practice we see. I see one from John Matich, specific to LAUSD. I know, John, you mentioned in there you might want to take this one offline. I am actually going to recommend we do just that. So just send me an email at rob@clever.com and we can talk specifically about that district.
I see I have a question from the application standpoint. When the district is having trouble sharing data, setting filters, or addressing data warning issues, do you prefer if the district calls Clever directly, or does Clever prefer a conference call? I think depending on, if it's a technical question or if it's an onboarding district, so a new Clever district, we would definitely prefer like writing in a ticket either to our support team or to district-onboarding@clever.com, and we can redirect you if necessary. And then if a call is needed, we are more than happy to set one up. However, we found that a lot of technical issues can actually be resolved via email, and our help center is also a really great resource. So definitely loop us in. We can decide the correct course of action, but I would say defer to emailing first.
I'm seeing a few questions now on just what the parent portal will actually look like. We had the little kind of teaser screenshot at the beginning of the presentation. We can certainly bring that back up. Tomorrow, we'll actually be sending out a blast email to all of you. So anybody join the webinar, you're getting kind of the sneak peek. Tomorrow, we'll have everything out, Help Center, support page, preliminary look of what that looks like. But for now, we can kind of put this back up for a minute or two. But I'm glad you're eager, and I'm really excited to partner on this.
I see we have a question. How accurate is the primary contact at the district field, and does the district maintain that field manually? Great question. So when you send an invite, by default, the invite will go to the Clever account owner. You do have the option to CC other people on the invite, but the Clever account owner will be listed as the primary contact in your dashboard, so it'll go to them. This may not always be the person that you're working with, so would definitely keep that in mind when sending out the invite. I know that in the past, some other applications have sent an invite, we didn't get a response, and then we cancel the invite and send it to a different contact. And that's also a really good way to engage the district if you're having some trouble there. I also see that there's a question about districts who are using non-supported auto-sync SISs, and sometimes districts do have to manually format files depending on the SIS. This is something that we've been seeing a lot with smaller charter schools as they move to remote learning, and also with districts who use an SIS that, maybe it's really small. I know in particular Arkansas has an SIS that's not great at getting files out, just because it's all of Arkansas uses it, but it's really hard to get in contact with the SIS because there is no central contact. And the question was about whether or not we are giving out resources. Yes, we do have a ton of resources right now, and we are planning on revamping them and sending out like more of a template situation as opposed to our default files, which can be kind of overwhelming because we don't require all of the information that is in those files. And that is something that will be coming within the next week as we see an increase in these kinds of districts being onboarded with Clever. It's a great question.
I see we have several districts who have just started sharing data with us. Is there a way to find the contact emails for people at each school? The district leads are swamped and the individual schools are reaching out to us randomly. Sorry to hear that. And if that's the case, we'd love to talk about that particular district. Um, if you're looking for contacts at each school, we do have that object in the in school data where we list school principal. I don't generally recommend that, but if you're kind of like out of luck and searching for someone, that is one way to look. But on this particular one, we'd love to just talk about the case and just see if we have a better solution for kind of what's going on there. I see one that's from an application standpoint, when a district is having trouble sharing data, so setting filters, addressing data warnings, do you prefer if the district calls Clever directly, or or Clever prefer a conference call? This really depends on the issue, but we're more than happy to jump on a call with you and the district. Particularly, our NOAA support team really appreciates a warm handoff where you've been able to sort of specify the problem to date, point exactly kind of to where the district might be struggling if it's sharing rules, data warnings, and then we can take it from there. If you're someone who prefers to kind of stay on the thread, just let us know, and we're happy to just keep you CC'd until there's resolution. I see another one that's kind of similar. How granular can we be when filtering data sent by districts? How easy is it to filter out individual class sections? So to date, our filters have been very broad brush. Data filtering, which just to rehash, is after a district has shared with you, you do have you do have the option to go in and filter out schools and sections, I believe by subject and grade level, but there isn't quite the granularity that we have on the sharing rule side. It's really meant to be more of a way to block records that you don't have it. It's not really meant to be the primary way in which data was being shared. Again, that will change when we have our new feature coming out in a couple months before back to school, which will give you more power to sort of select what you want with the school district. So I'm excited about that. But thanks, that's a great question.
I see one here that's asking, so you have might already said this, but can teachers see student information like usernames in order to help students while they are logging on? So I teachers have tools in their dashboard to, like temporary login codes. They have tools for their students to log in. I think longer term, um, there's going to be, or longer term, there are other options, but we will send a help center article about how teachers can help their students log in after this.
I see a question about, is shared data available to the application before the launch date? So I believe the answer is yes. I don't know if Rob and Christina can confirm this, but I do know on the district's
Yes, it
end
is.
that, okay, great, thanks, Rob. But I do know on the
Yeah.
district's end, they will not be able to log into the application and access it until that launch date has passed. So if you have a district that wants to get up and running and their launch date is in 3 days, I would definitely recommend changing that on your end. The launch date can only be adjusted by you as the application partner. So if a district reaches out to me or to support, we always redirect them over to you
Yeah,
all so you can
this
adjust
is
it
really
for
the
them.
best part of launch date. It's that we want to encourage you to get set up as soon as possible. Do all the QA, make sure the right records are shared way before the student has that icon in their portal and is ready to log in, and just making sure you are 100% set up for success on day one of learning. Also, we don't bill for schools until they are launched. So um, We even encourage, if you have a purchase order, you know this is going to be used in the fall, we even encourage you to get started as soon as possible. So that data is shared before lunch. I see another one that was kind of a follow-up to when I was mentioning during the invite phase, and you want to get more specific to subjects and grade levels. Do you also have to select schools? So yes, I think you do have to select schools initially, and then head over to grades and subjects. So yes, just look for that radio button below in the invite.
I see one here that's asking, can all districts use Google SSO? And I think the answer here is it depends on if the district, if the district uses Google in their day to day. Clever offers a lot of SSO solutions for school districts so that it's pretty seamless, and it's something that students are used to using. So I think the answer here is it kind of depends if the districts they regularly use Google or not.
All right. I see one that says, is the curriculum contact, it's a required field when inviting a district. Is it really necessary for that to be required? So this refers to in the invite, in addition to specifying which district you want to invite, we do ask that you just list someone you're working with at the district. Need it be the curriculum person exactly? No. Why this is so important is when the invite goes directly to the district owner of the Clever account. So this typically could be someone who's the head of IT. Sometimes it's the CTO for the district. And just having that contact listed, someone who's purchased your product or you're already working with, that gives them real high confidence in authorizing the data share and moving ahead, and also puts those two people in touch so they can talk to each other about the implementation. So we do require you have an additional contact there. If it happens to be the same person, great, just list it in there, but you should have someone you're working with in the district if you're inviting someone to connect. So it need not be someone from curriculum. It usually is. We hope it is. But yes, that field is required. But if you're looking for a way to work around it, just get in touch. We can help you out. I also wonder around how accurate is the primary contact field of the district? Does the district maintain that field manually? I guess, Soluch, in your experience, what do you think?
Yeah, kind of like what we were talking about before. If the contact, for the most part, it's accurate. However, we have seen instances where someone is in charge of setting up Clever. This is more for like on Clever invites, and that person may not always be managing the Clever account anymore. So in those cases, I've seen a lot of apps on invite um, that specific contact. I guess they cancel
Mhm.
the invite with that contact and they assign a different contact base, and that usually gets a better response. Um, so would definitely recommend that. But I think overall for new districts, the contact should be pretty accurate.
Got it. Couple more questions. I see one I actually don't know the answer to. So this is a great one. Someone asked, are sync times based on the time zone the district is in, or is it just some sort of more universal or Pacific time? Um, I don't know. I don't have that answer because either in the Soloj, I don't know if you do, but that's certainly one we can get back to you on. I think it's a no.
I believe it's UTC, which is like Universal Standard Time. I don't really know what that means, but that's what it says.
Got it.
But we
Sorry to
can ask our
throw.
engineers about that one. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm hearing it's
yeah,
based on UTC, so it should
yeah.
be universal. Ideally, if your integration, we typically recommend that you sync once a night. I know most applications do that between 12 to 4 a.m. in the morning. Um, yes, that can lead to some latency stuff depending on what districts are syncing, but in general, I know that's worked. But if that's created problems, would love to hear more about it.
Okay, thank you, Rob and Solochana. I think we'll start to wrap up here. If we can't get to every question, we'll review them all afterwards and we'll follow up with anyone we couldn't address. Excuse me. So again, we wanted to thank you all so much for participating in this webinar with us. If you didn't get a chance before you hop off, let us know if you'd like those office hours. We love the questions and we'd love to be able to support you while you are supporting our districts. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, everyone.